So you back Trench Crusade yet, or what?
Trench what?
Trench Crusade.
Trench. Crusade.
Are you supposed to say Crusade now? That seems like a bit of a edgy sort of. You can get canceled for saying Crusade.
I just think
Crusade,
of that
Crusade.
magic card that got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There was also a white magic card.
It was a white magic card.
Hey guys.
I don't think you can. I don't. Well, apparently $3 million worth of people do.
They're doing it.
They're like,
yeah,
no problem.
We're gonna dive into. We've had quite a few people request that we kind of tackle this topic of the, let's say, very successful Kickstarter that just, I guess, concluded recently.
Is it any Kickstarter that meets its goal very successful?
Yeah, and you get to set your own goals. So it's like, it's like when I start my day, I'm like, today I'm going to put pants on, eat my breakfast, and go to work. It's like, I killed it, man. I crushed it.
Nice.
I exceeded my goal by 200%.
They made a few bucks, yeah, for sure.
And they did it in a less conventional way. Like, you didn't really see a lot of, or any really like ads being pumped. So they seem to kind of do it sort of the natural way of like regular sort of excitement, regular hype. They kind of did the groundswell thing, which not a lot of people do anymore.
Yep.
It's usually just like jamming ads on Instagram, Facebook, Google, and just like pumping it through people and getting them super hyped. This one seemed a bit more organic. It seemed a bit more, the people backing it really, really are excited about it, which is why we're getting questions about it.
Like people telling other people.
Exactly.
Like word of mouth kind of feel to it. And then
Which kind of makes sense because it is designed, the rules are designed at least. One of the owners or partners or whatever is the original creator of the Mordheim game. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Well, yes. Which is another game that people secretly play at home and don't tell anyone about.
Yeah. Well, the small percentage of 40-plus-year-olds that might still have some.
That remember the good old days, as we say. Yeah. No, I had a good share of Warhammer stuff when I was a teenager. Yeah, very cool. And for those of you who don't know, Mordheim was a fantasy warband game that came out as a sort of like parody of the millennial problem, where we were having like everyone was talking about the millennium and how like the world was going to end.
Kind of,
in 1999, and so Mordheim was kind of like a bit of a parody of that because it was like happening in the Warhammer world, and it was sort of like all these warbands vying for to go see what this whole apocalyptic event was going to be about, and it was cool. It was like an experience-based game. You just built your warbands up, and there was like a fun RPG element to it.
Fantasy Necromunda kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously that game has a lot of stock in the older generation. People like, so that a lot of name carrying, and I think that definitely generated a lot of excitement. And the other guy who's involved he comes from I believe the video game world.
I don't know. I just scrolled through it and I saw they've got Gav Thorpe writing stuff for it. They've got who's the other guy? They've got Graham McNeil, who's written tons of Warhammer novels, fantasy
writing some lore for it.
Novels. Just scrolling through the page, you're like, oh, I know this person.
Putting some names on it,
and they're all and they, like you said, what they have in common, they're all from that era, especially the 90s or whatever.
Yeah, so they're obviously using star power, like minor celebrity star power to kind of move the product. And I guess the greater question is, so what? I guess, that would be my first question. Is like, what does something like this mean? Because like when people ask us about this particular thing, I'm gonna always contextualize it first in the atmosphere in which I exist, which is like I own and operate a hobby shop. And I think, first of all, how does this impact my business? How does this impact my customers? So let's start with that. What do you think? What are your thoughts when you think about that?
Well, I think maybe before we get further into that, you have to kind of explain for those again who haven't looked into it is what's, I guess, the other I don't know if you call it unique, but quirk of this Kickstarter is it's everything about it is getting it to the consumer directly,
right,
and quickly. They really don't want to. I think usually what happens is, and they describe this, which is true. The Kickstarter ends. But a long time passes by, all this stuff gets manufactured, and it gets like sent to different hubs and gets repacked, and then like globally or different regions, and then sent out to people. And sometimes people get it at different times. And so I think these people they're trying to like get it into the consumer's hands themselves directly from their own place, and then they're also, to make it even quicker, and I think this is part of the appeal, is everything is offered
electronically,
STL as well.
Yeah.
So you can, and you pay different prices based on what you can pay less, and I think the idea is the Kickstarter ends and people will be able to start downloading STLs of their factions like day one or something like that. So with that out of the way.
Also, did you see any mention of retail in the entire Kickstarter thing? Yeah.
No.
So
again, maybe I didn't see it, but I did.
I read through it a couple times.
Fair enough. Yeah. So this is like, and another small aside. Everything looks good. Like a lot of pretty quality modern Kickstarters. Miniatures look cool. I don't have any doubt about that. The setting is cool. It's got that. Oh God, who's that artist that did all that on the Scythe board game box?
Oh yeah.
Eastern.
I know you're talking about. It has that vibe to it.
This guy, it's the like weird world. It's like it's like if World War II was still steampunk or something, kind of. I don't know. Anyway, and there's a genre for this. I don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But that's besides the point. Anyway, it looks very cool.
Super grimdarky, World War I, trench warfare, World War, chaosy.
I think the models they purposely put on the really show right away. They look like Krieg guys and stuff like that. They have that 40k Krieg guy look.
There's a lot of that going on for sure. Yeah.
And they're fighting some other zealous guys.
And if you haven't looked, it's got this like angels and demons kind of thing going on to it. So it's supposed to be like almost like Diablo-esque, I guess.
Yeah. So there's a lot of kind of preamble, but I just set it up. So for us at the store, it's where I think for Chris and I will be like, this is cool, and I'm not gonna begrudge anyone who likes it. But I also kind of don't care because it's like for my business.
Right.
There's nothing really for me to do about it. Like,
right. You're like hoping best case scenario, the guy wants to comes in for paints or something.
Yeah. And then if they want to play, hopefully they support us, or maybe pay a table fee or whatever if they want to like form a club here or do whatever. Like it's like any tertiary game that isn't a normal shelf item.
Even though, like, to pause there, like, and this is for those that we talked about this last week with the table fee stuff. One of the dangers, enough to say danger of allowing people to play games in your shop that you don't sell is, and you just have to be aware of this. This is completely a choice that you can make yourself. Is that you're also kind of promoting that game. Yeah, to some degree, right? So
sure.
If you allow a Trench Crusade club to form at your shop, just be mindful that like they're going to be promoting Trench Crusade, and they're going to be telling other people that come into the store about Trench Crusade.
Come and play this game. You don't have to buy anything for it. You can print it all. I've got STLs. I'll print it for you. Right. And now I'm doing. Just give me $10 under the table. Yeah, and now they're doing deals on your shop floor, which you pay the rent and fees for. Yeah. And they're treating your store like a bazaar.
A bazaar.
So it's like this slippery slope, and it's nothing like, it's not like Chris and I are like these like, hey, you goobers, we like you're that we hate their game or their hobby or whatever. No, I pay the bills here, man. Like there's a respect thing
there has to be a level of respect for sure. Yeah.
Unless you pay me for square footage to have your stall and sell your wares, which I'm not allowing you to do in my shop, then no, you have to do that all. You have to do all that outside. But again, this is. Yeah, there's some management you have to be mindful of there. But, so, I mean, look, there's nothing for us to sell for the game. I suppose we could lean the other way. And, like, some people have suggested is, like, get a printer bank going and...
But they didn't even talk about, like, commercial selling of their stuff yet at all. So, like, technically, if you were
it wouldn't be allowed.
Making them and selling them, you would be technically breaking the law, and they could go after you, I guess, for that.
I don't know how.
I don't know how people do that, but how would one actually go? Yeah. So
I mean, they could, I guess. I don't know.
Cease and desist.
I guess if they're UK based, you know, maybe a problem when you go visit one day. Maybe I don't know. There's really nothing they could do to you, unless you had it online on your website. Maybe then there's something maybe. But overall, like you could be So you know, this comes in. This is actually all of this reminds me a lot of this. Actually, a lot of this Kickstarter reminds me of the, at least for now, the Kingdom Death thing,
right?
Which was you know, one of the first massive Kickstarters that was well, they eventually got to retail, but that was like way after the.
Did they actually?
Didn't they?
I don't know.
Oh no, they didn't.
I don't think they ever did.
No, you're right. No, they never did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I just remember. Yeah, I don't know why I thought they didn't, but yeah. So it's, you know, nothing wrong. I think Kingdom Death is awesome too. Tons and tons of crazy minis.
Super cool.
Setting.
And for a lot of it though, is like just people coming. That's where I think Jay is talking about it, and I think trying to understand our context is like if you back this and you are really excited about it, and you go to your local store and you just start talking to your, you know, the owner there or like whoever's running the shop, just don't expect them to be as excited about it for you. You know, like they'll be like, "Oh, that's cool, man," and that's kind of it, right? Like, what do you want them to say? You know, it's not something they sold you. It's not something they can sell. It's like, you know, it's completely outside of our world, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
You can't walk in and be like, "Yo, this is such a cool game product. Like, you got to get games of this." And like the guy's gonna be like, or lady's gonna be like, "There's nothing here for me." Like, what? Like, I'm not. You know, if you want to run a club, that's on your own time and whatever, and then we can talk about how you can use the space somehow. But generally, like, it's. So I've seen some, you know, already YouTube's populated with some, you know, videos with clickbaity titles. I'm sure we'll have a clickbaity title as well.
Hell yeah.
Because that's how it works. You know, trying to make it like, oh, is it going to shake up things? And I don't think so. Like, I don't see anything about
shake
this
up
that's
things.
like,
how could it $3 million is not like no. I'm not insulting the people that made this game. That is as far as Kickstarters go.
It's more money than I have. Yeah.
And miniatures. That's a great amount of money, right?
Yeah.
But what are we really talking about here?
Sure.
$3 million for the whole world.
Yeah.
For a miniature game is a tiny amount of money, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not a lot of people. And I should have probably written it down how many people they had backers for the game, but like, is it like 500 or 800? You know, like,
yeah,
we're not talking.
I mean, even if it's 10,000, it's not.
It's a small spread out across the whole world.
Yeah. And then the percentage of how many of those people actually don't just get it and immediately put it in the, you know, the storage room or something.
That's going to happen to some degree.
Sure.
A lot of people will get the files, print some things, and then that'll be the end of it.
And then,
but this to me is just more of this same old. Like, there's a ton of stuff, like new 3D printed this and that, and games designed for play at home, basically. You know, like you have a couple buddies, you already play at home a lot, you're just doing your own thing. This looks awesome.
Have a blast.
It looks like it's going to be a great time. Mm-hmm. All the power to you. Mm-hmm. I just don't see how it ultimately impacts us, other than having a handful of customers come in and tell us about it.
I mean, the absolute best case scenario is some guy comes in, brings some minis in. Mm-hmm. We talk about how cool they are, and then they pick up the paints and supplies they need to build their board, paint their board. You know, all of that, and that's it. That's like, you know.
Yeah. And that's a healthy transaction.
That's
right?
great.
You're happy to do that, right?
And then I'll be happy to see them, you know, hopefully finish it up. And
no, I mean, I always like to point out, not, you know, I get excited too about new games when I'm getting into them, and obviously everyone who gets into a new game sort of becomes like a little mini ambassador for that new game and has to like wave the flag and stuff. But let's all try not to turn into crypto bros, you know. Like let's be self-aware, right? Realize the limits of what you're selling and who you're talking to about it and what it is, right? So it's another Kickstarter. It's not a retail product, at least yet, and the limitations on the game are going to be like, where do you play it? Probably at home. Okay, so for that, if that's the case, that's going to cut a lot of people out of it, right? because there are a lot of people that play at their local shop or want to play at their local shop. At least in North America, that's the case.
Yep.
I know in other places in the world, that's not as big a deal. And then, like, you get the European club thing going.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, you have a club, you can play whatever the hell you want. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, funny enough, even if let's say they did have a retailer thing or
Like a pledge level or a plan. Yeah.
I would still be bearish on this as a retailer because it'd be like, well, tons of people are just printing the files. So by the time it gets to me in a nice box that I can put on the shelf to sell with a markup, it's going to be way more than the whatever. Like they're showing like, whatever prints of something's $10, $8, something like.
I'm glad you brought that up.
So I would probably still be like, maybe if they had a starter box, maybe I'd carry one for the guy that walks in as just like impulse going to buy. This looks cool.
Sure.
Maybe I carry a handful, but it's not. It would make the. I suppose it would make the like playing in the store conversation a little easier because I'd be like, well, I have it on the shelf, and if you want to promote it, I have. But even then, I wouldn't be terribly. I would maybe even pass on it. I don't know. It would be hard. It would be tough.
I think it's a great transitionary point because like we could talk about last, like what if they are planning to move to retail at some point or want to, what would that look like and how would they do that? I think offering the STLs is a huge wrong direction if that's your plan long term.
Yeah, you kind of can't have both.
Yeah.
You're just closing the door on one. You're just saying we want to like do it this way, and again, I want to stress that this isn't like a negative or wrong answer. It's just kind of one of these like gates where and or type of thing where it's or whatever. It's an or situation. It's like you can't do both. As soon as you go through one, the other door shuts, and that's it. Like so, I don't see how how you can maybe I suppose you could have books. If you have books, you could then have it purely in like here's books and subsequent supplementary books that maybe are made.
But I think
it would go on the shelf of the other indie game books that you could sell in the store. Maybe
all 0 of them we have basically.
Either we don't,
because there's nothing to sell with it.
Fair.
I think your Kingdom Death analogy is really good, and I think this is the most likely future we see for this game.
Yep.
Is more future Kickstarters.
Yep.
Right. So for them,
this is a Kickstarter.
For them, this is Kickstarters forever.
Yep.
As long as there's the money to be made in expansions, in new miniatures,
I'm sure they will.
New source books. That's going to be probably the avenue they use.
They're probably designing it right now. Like,
oh yeah,
I wouldn't even be surprised if the phase 2 of this whole faction expansions and books, 100%.
If anything, based on what I saw, they're giving away too much in their first Kickstarter.
I mean,
as always, right? Like,
that's another conversation about. We talked about this in a past Kickstarter video. That the giveaway is so crazy, and whether that's good or bad, it definitely makes the value. That's why you get so many backers so quickly. It's proven to work that it gets people in a frenzy. To be there at the beginning, to get triple the amount of stuff, because you'll never get that chance again, and then, blah, blah, blah. And, but it's another double-edged thing, because you get all the stuff, and you get overwhelmed, and then it just, like... and then the secondary market gets flooded with doubles and triples of things. Like, I feel like there's a sweet spot, but...
It also sets a really negative price expectation.
Oh, sure.
Which I is always a problem. If retail is going to follow, it makes retail nearly impossible because the expectation for the price is so low.
Yeah.
That
they can never do a thing where they go, here, it's they never seem to want to just do here's $150 thing. It's a 2-player box and that's it. And maybe the stretch goals are like extra fancy dice or this and that. No, they have to be like. It just goes on and on. You just scroll. You get tired of scrolling. You just like, is this going to end? It's like next thing. Yep. And like the one I remember was the craziest one, at least here in the store. The last time we actually did this was the Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And the stuff people got in the initial thing was just I remember these literal towers of I think we got like 20 people or something, or 20 worth.
Yeah.
And it was like 16 or 17 boxes stacked per person. Like it was like
it was nuts.
They came in and had to collect this like it's comical, faulty tower of stuff. And then I was like, I'm never going to see some of these people again, because like they're going to, and it sort of did okay later because there was further releases like new extra factions and battle forces, and Song of Ice and Fire ended up having an okay run. But I think that was mostly because the IP was still so strong, because the show was just still...
It was Zenithing, kind of. The show was kind of like Zenith, yeah.
So not, people that missed the Kickstarter or what, I know there's still, even in the Toronto area, there's some pockets, and there's a few organized events here and there, and it's a great little game, with nice minis and all that. But I don't know. It was I really. I don't know. This is part of what we call the Kickstarter curse, in our opinion, at least for the retailers, is just they give out too much too fast. There's the next wave comes way too late. There's no incentive for the retailer to bother, and in North America, again, if the retailer doesn't bother, then you don't get the events and the play happening in the store as much, and it's all kind of. And it's not even like Chris and I are like these, what is it? What's the word? It's not like we want to hoard we want make it retailer only and you have to come through us. Like, I don't really care about that. I think it's because we have so many conversations all the time with people that then come in and have this like expectation, that like, oh, I have this mini game and I want to, and they're excited about it. I'm like, that's great. But like, they
want it to be something that it can never be, almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I get that. Everyone wants their little niche interest to be the thing that everyone's excited about. But that's where just you just need a bit of self-awareness and just realize what it is and what it can be, and that's okay. Like I said, no one's watching now anymore.
Nope.
We're in the garbage time section of the video.
No. I don't think anyone's watching since the first 7 minutes.
Yeah, because people got really upset or whatever.
They got mad or they don't care.
I love Trench Crusade. How dare you?
That's awesome.
I'm already on my second Crusade.
You can't say that.
Oh God. Yeah, it's just. Ultimately, like with these Kickstarters, they have a very tumultuous sort of existence, like post Kickstarter, right? I always ask this question: is who's going to drive this going forward, right? Who's behind the steering wheel, hitting the horn, waving the flag, pushing this game forward, and building a community? So retailers are traditionally those people. Like we were the ones in the trenches, drumming up the local interest, having physical things showing out. Now you have what's different about today versus like, when a game like Mordheim came out is you have the influencer world, the influencer culture, right? Sure. So you have a ton of people that watch a ton of...
We're talking about it.
We're talking about it right now. Here's the problem with that, though. Influencer culture is even more tumultuous than Kickstarter.
Yeah.
They are literally, because, most of the time because of how the way that the algorithms work and how they have to stay on top of their videos and they're mostly talking about new stuff and who's paying them that week and what new product they can show off. Trench Crusade, as soon as the video view counts dip a few thousand for somebody, they'll be looking for the next thing, right?
Correct. So
that's the thing that you all have to think about when you're getting into something like this. Is just make sure, and the Kickstarter's over, so you've already spent the money or not, right? So, which is why probably upsetting people or not upsetting them.
Yeah.
Make sure you kind of understand your situation. How am I going to get games in? Do I even care about the game? Do I just want to read the book and paint the models? You're always the happiest person anyways if you're just doing that. Or do I actually need something additional? Like, do I need a place to play or, those extra things? Those are things to consider always, right?
I mean, it looks like a game that plays mostly on a kitchen table, so
yeah,
I think they've thought about that too. It's probably gonna be played at home, but all good points.
I think so.
Yeah.
So we did a long video and really didn't figure anything out.
No, we just basically did a routine Kickstarter sucks thing or whatever video for us. So.
Oh man! Well,
enjoy your minis. Just enjoy
the models. Enjoy your hobby.
Just love it, man.
Tell us about a time that you did Kickstarter and it worked out for you. I mean, that's what I'd like to hear. or it didn't. I guess that would be the other time to tell us about that. Yeah.
Kickstarter, the entire Kickstarter miniature world. I'm going to end off on this slide because we're going to run out of time. Is just like when I go to the Adepticon vendor hall every year or whatever, and I love the vendors. They're all got their little games, and I always make sure to throw some money at these guys because that's their little business, their little company, whatever. But yeah, without fail, it's a little game or minis that I just put in the vault, and I just and Kickstarter is just a giant version of that to me personally. I just and this is a me problem. I guess this is a symptom of being all in the Warhammer hobby. Is it just leaves no room for anything else for me. So
no, and that's fair.
It just is. It just is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's probably a good topic for another video. Do you have time for this?
Do you have time? And for us, no.
We are out of time. Until next time, guys. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
See you. Bye.